Howdy everybody, Chris here. We're back in the garage today. Today we're going to be painting this Honda. We're going to paint this quarter panel and this door. We got to do a little bit of paint work in the jam. Darius is finishing up sanding it, but what we need to do is prepare this primer for paint. So I'm going to walk you through the steps to block sand this out, make sure everything's straight, make sure all the scratches are removed out of it, and there's no waves or imperfections. We're going to be doing this all in an open garage. We have no paint booth here. If you're unfamiliar with this channel, we've been in this industry for 30 plus years, and I share all the information that I've gathered over that time to help you with your repair or restoration project, teaching you tips, tricks, and techniques on how to repair and repaint your vehicle. So we're going to put some guide coat on this. Guide coat is designed to identify scratches, body filler pinholes, and other defects. You can really save yourself a lot of headaches when block sanding your primer if you focus on getting the dent out straight, straightening the metal, and using your body filler correctly to get that panel straight before you primer. Now last week we did a video on how to use body filler and how to straighten a panel. You can check that video out if you'd like. And I do have digital guides available at garagenoisegear.com that are going to cover those topics, and they'll walk you through step by step that entire process. It makes the preparation for paint much easier. Just using this block here, this is my Merca block, and with some 320 on it, we're going to block it all with the door shut. See, so it's identifying low spots, but these are very minor low spots. Most of this is pretty straight. Clean your paper every once in a while. So this is a Dura block kit that I got off Amazon. I've had this for a long time. These are great blocks. They're not perfect. I do use the hook and loop paper. You know, if you're a DIYer, this is going to work perfectly. If you're looking to restore a vehicle, make it show quality. So a acrylic or hard block is going to give you a straighter block. You may want to consider those, but honestly, this does a fantastic job. These Dura blocks come in a kit. They're pretty inexpensive. I'll leave links in the description if it's something you're interested in. I've been using these blocks for a long time, and this is about the longest block you really need. See how all that guide coat's starting to disappear. Right here is a body line ridge, so we're blocking up to that body line ridge, and then we'll roll over it at the end here. We're just holding the block flat. I'm kind of rolling. There is a little bit of a contour this way with this panel, so I'm not trying to create any flat spots. I'm just rolling with it. The goal of blocking is to block the panel straight by blocking out all that guide coat, holding the block flat, and blocking in an X style pattern. So crosshatch pattern is what they call it, where you go in different directions to level that primer out to remove any waves or scratches. So if you look closely here, all is nice and smooth. We'll block it with 600, but there's some bare metal, and there's some body filler. I'm going to throw a little primer right on this area, and then we'll block it with 600, and this will pretty much be ready to paint. So the color for this vehicle is not a perfect match, so we are going to blend into this bumper cover. We are going to take the bumper off and just prepare it for a blend, but we'll have to sand it all with 600. We're not breaking through any clear coat. We'll clean it real well, sand it with 600, and then we'll be able to blend the color right there and then just clear the entire bumper cover. So we're just going to blow a little color in here before we paint the outside, just so we don't have to mess with it afterwards. We're kind of waiting until tomorrow to paint this anyway, so we'll just do this now and then we'll be done with it. So what I'm going to do is run this foam tape right on this body edge, put some color on it, put some clear on it, and then we'll pull this and wash it in with some urethane reducer, and that'll help blend it in. We'll just lightly buff that, it'll be ready to go. So we're just going to put color in this jam right here. I've already washed this with isopropyl alcohol. I'm masking this off, but the gun I'm going to use for this is a Porphis touch-up gun. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description to all the Porphis guns, but it's a really good little touch-up gun. See how light I'm putting this in there? I'm just going to blend it right there. Let this flash off. We'll put another coat on this. And then what we'll do tomorrow is we'll just sand this off on the outside of it. We'll tape off the jam and we'll be good to go. Checking to make sure it's not transparent. Oh, yeah, we got a little spot there. It's transparent. Get some clear coat mixed up and we'll spray some clear on this. That's it. Hopefully it comes off clean. We're going to wash this in right here. Okay, we got 320 with a soft interface pad so we can sand over this and not dig into that primer. We're just going to sand this edge out right here and then that primer we put on yesterday. Darius has already started to tape this off, but we're going to tape up the rest of this and then we'll get ready to spray. We got this Honda all taped up and ready to go. And as you know, I'm always trying to help out the DIYer, the hobbyist. So today we're going to paint this Honda with this small compressor. Now this is the Fortress 26-gallon compressor. It produces about 4 CFM at 90 PSI. We're going to paint this vehicle with this today, just like you were doing it at home in an open garage. And today we'll be painting the clear coat with a new gun that was just sent to me from Porphis. It is the Porphis 815 with a 1.2 tip. So this will be interesting. Let's get right into it. One problem with these small compressors is they produce a lot of heat and they create moisture in your airline. So I've got a simple trick that's going to help you reduce that moisture, almost eliminate it. I think that's really going to help you out with a clean paint job. This is a reasonably priced compressor, about $350, and the paint gun is a really reasonably priced paint gun too. It's not a budget paint gun, I wouldn't say, but it is cheaper, but it does a really nice job. And that's this Porphis PRD 815 with a 1.2 tip, and I'm really liking this gun, so we're going to use it today. See how it does with this small compressor. You could easily use a gun like this, which is the Inokraft Drizzle D1, and this is a low volume, low pressure paint gun. I've already tested this with the small compressor and it works fantastic. Does a real nice job, but we're going to try something a little bit different today. Darius is prepping out this bumper. He's just getting it taped off. We're just blending this bumper. So what we're going to be doing is blending this area right here into this door, and then we're going to blend into this rear bumper, which Darius is taking care of right now. And I do have a trim piece over here that we need to paint. So we're going to do that as well. This has some scratches right here that we repaired. So this is the clear coat we're going to use today. This is the Nason XL. It's 438/40. This is a high solids clear. It mixes up 2-to-1. And here's the hardener. This is standard hardener. Probably a little bit quick for these temperatures, but we're going to go ahead and try it today. This clear coat was given to me by a viewer. He kind of tracked me down, had some work done with me, and he did some of the work himself from my videos, which is fantastic, but he gave us a bunch of materials, and he has never even opened this, and I just forgot about it, hadn't had a chance to use it, but I figure this would be a good vehicle to try it out on, because I've been wanting to try this Nason XL. I haven't tried it yet, and we'll see how it performs, how I like it, how it cuts and buffs. We'll do that in a later video, but we'll see how it sprays today. We're also using the Nason XL paint I did a spray out on this and the color's pretty close. It's a little bit off, but we are blending it, so I think we're going to be fine. So let's go ahead and mix this. This is 2 to 1, so we're going to find the 2 to 1 mixing ratio right here. We'll put in the amount of paint we want, which will go to the 3, and then we'll go to the 1 column and put in our reducer. And we just go to the coordinating 3 there and fill it up. And that we're just using urethane reducer. I think I'm going to spray some black over this to start with, because this is a little bit of a transparent color. I might be tight on paint if I have to put a few coats on. So I think what we'll do is coat it with a darker color, like this black here, and then we'll have better coverage. I do have some burgundy here. I'll just use this burgundy. Now for my base, I am going to use the Inokraft Drizzle D1 because it uses less materials when you're spraying base. We got our tack rag here. I'm going to use 15 PSI. Okay, so if you want a great way to reduce the moisture in your air lines, you need 50 foot of hose between your compressor and your air filter. So right here I have a oil separator, water filter on my wall, and I use that for my main compressor, and this works really well. This is Merlin brand. I got this at Harbor Freight, and it's done a fantastic job. So we've got that 50 foot of hose running into this, and then we got another 50 foot of hose for our airline. Of course, make sure your tank's drained. That's going to help eliminate moisture, get you a much cleaner paint job. So I darkened this up a little bit for the cut-in color because it was just a little bit too bright. I think we'll put one more coat of this on there, and then we'll use the original color. Okay. You want to overlap your passes about 75–80%. Put it on medium wet. You want it to be smooth, so let's put another coat on this piece here. So the compressor hasn't even kicked on yet. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Actually, that color doesn't look too bad for not being the right color, but we're going to blend it out a little bit farther. We don't want to get close to this door though right here. This is where the color mismatches. So I'm going to show you a couple ways we do that. Basically I fan it out a little bit, but we can reduce that. Yeah, go ahead and tack this off. Darius is going to, yeah, this is ready to be tacked up. Darius is going to tack this off before we put our next coat on, but we're using the right color now. We got the correct color in the gun. He already tacked off the bumper cover. So if you guys are doing something like this at home, it's all just a process. It's all just procedures. Follow that process, follow those procedures, and you'll be doing great. I do have digital guides available for you at GarageNoiseGear.com walking you through the procedures, okay? We've got different topics like body filler, how to blend paint, how to lay down clear coat. So this is the side of the bumper that goes right here. So we're going to just blend into the quarter of this bumper with the right color so we don't have a mismatch from this quarter panel to that bumper cover. And then we're going to clear the entire bumper cover. So right now we're just still covering the primer. I'm just going to the edge of the primer for right now on this coat, and then we'll do our blending kind of the next coat. A little bit of it's going to blend out into that door, but we're not trying to do the blend right now. 25 psi. See how I'm turning my wrist? At the end, I'm blending it out into the rest of the panel. I always like to end my blend like on a contour if you can. See how I'm turning my wrist? I'm blending it out. All right, we're at 19 psi, 3 turns out from close on the fluid volume.
For those of you who are new to spraying clear coat, maybe it's your first time, maybe you don't know anything about spraying clear coat, we're going to put 2 coats of clear on this. Now 2 coats is sufficient to get enough clear coat on it where you can cut and buff it. So if you do have any imperfections in your clear coat, you can always wet sand and buff those out after the fact. Clear coat is very forgiving. For spot repair, 2 coats of clear is sufficient. That's really all you need these days, especially on a spot repair. Now if you're doing a custom paint job, you might do more than 2 clear coats and then you can cut and buff the whole project. But some of the techniques you want to use when you're spraying your clear coat, you want to have a consistent speed and a consistent distance from the panel. Now the way you determine that is how that clear coat's laying on the panel. As you can see here, I'm not going super fast, I'm not going super slow, but I've just got a consistent speed, and you try and be consistent with your distance the entire length of the panel. You want to overlap those passes 70 to 80%. So when you make a pass, when you come back over that pass, you want to overlap that pass 70 to 80%. That gives you a nice uniform coat of clear. Now when you're applying your first coat of clear, it's not necessary to make it perfect. Now my preference is to apply my first coat of clear just like I would my second coat. But what happens is after the first coat of clear, I'm going to look over my panels and see if there's any inconsistencies in my clear coat. And I'll make note of that and make adjustments in my second coat of clear so I can get the best finish possible. If your first coat of clear is not absolutely perfect, it's not the end of the world, because you can do some corrections on your second coat and get a flatter finish, more texture if you want more texture. You can hit some of those areas that might have a little dry spray or might be inconsistent in the clear coat and get a better finish. Just understand that it doesn't have to be perfect on your first coat. With the first coat of clear, we're really just trying to introduce that clear to the surface so we have a good base for our second coat of clear. I get a lot of questions about gun settings and what is the perfect gun setting. I don't have the perfect gun setting. The gun settings are constantly changing. It depends on what gun you're using, what clear coat you're using, what is the temperature outside, what temperature you're spraying in. All those things affect how you're going to set up your gun. Some guns require a little bit less air, some require a little bit more. Some clear coats flow out a little bit better and you need to have a little bit more pressure to atomize that clear coat, and others don't need as much. And you can actually over atomize clear coat too if you got your pressure too high. So there's no perfect gun setting.
So let's look at the blend. Blend looks good to me. Couple little particles of dust, but this clear looks pretty nice.
After checking out the first coat of clear and spraying with this new gun, I'm really impressed with this Porphis PRD 815 1.2 tip and this clear coat, this Nason XL. Like I said, I've never sprayed this before, but it flows out beautifully. I don't know how it's going to cut and buff. We're just going to have to wait and see, because that is very important. But I'm really impressed with this gun and this clear coat. And even this small 26-gallon Harbor Freight compressor is doing a fantastic job. I don't see any fluctuation in the air pressure. I'm not noticing any. I'm spraying my normal speed. I'm not having to spray extremely slow or anything. And it's really working well with this Porphis gun. I think this Porphis gun consumes about 10 CFM. Now, as far as my gun settings for this particular gun and the situation I'm in, I opened up my fluid volume all the way. So in order to do that, I turn the knob all the way out, and then I pull the trigger, and then I turn it in. And when I feel pressure on that trigger, I know it's wide open. I've got my fan pattern. This has a huge fan pattern, way too wide for me. So I narrowed that fan pattern one full turn. And then as far as the air pressure I used when spraying this clear coat, it was around 22 psi, somewhere right around there. Like I said, that is just a guide for this situation that I'm in. If you're using a low volume, low pressure paint gun, like the Inokraft Drizzle D1, I usually run that at about 28 psi. I do about 3 turns out from closed on the fluid volume, and then I usually have my fan pattern wide open. So at the time of this recording, I've used this particular gun several times, and right now this is my favorite gun from Porphis. I also have a 815, I think it's 815 with a 1.2 tip, and I prefer the 1.2 tip on these guns. It sprays a finer clear coat, and it seems to lay it out a little bit flatter. It's really easy to use. It's going to consume less air as well. So just keep that in mind if you're looking for a paint gun. This is a good option. This is a really good option. I think this gun here runs about $375. If you're kind of looking for a cheaper price gun, the other really good gun from Porphis is the 627. So check that out. I love the 627 as well. And the 627 costs a little bit less at around $225. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about the 627, but I really do like it. Of course, you can also get the Inokraft Drizzle D1, which you can pick up for $100. And you guys know, if you've watched the channel, I love that gun because it's a great budget-friendly option for a DIYer.
All right, so here we go after the second coat. This is the Nason XL clear coat with the Porphis PRD 815 with the 1.2 tip. And I gotta say, I like the way this clear coat laid down. Look how nice and flat that is. I hit it pretty hard too on both coats. Both coats, I hit it hard and put it on heavy, and it flowed out nicely. No runs. Let's look at the quarter panel here. Nice finish. We'll see how it polishes, buffs and polishes. You know, I look at a few different things when I'm looking at clear coats. I want to see how it cuts and buffs. I want to see how it lays down. I want to know the durability of it. Now, this is a high solids clear. I think the solids on this is like close to 50%, 45% or something like that. I'll have to look at the technical data sheet. The cost, I believe, is just over $200. So I wouldn't say it's a budget clear, but it's a high quality clear. So if you're looking for something that's just a little bit higher quality and flows out really nice, this would be a good clear to check out. Now, like I said, you can get it at O'Reilly's, any O'Reilly's that sells paint. But yeah, this compressor worked out beautifully with the setup with the filter on the wall. So if you're looking for a system, you don't have to use that filter, but if you're using one of these, you definitely want come off it with about 50 feet of hose, hook it up to a filter, and then run another hose, and you're good to go. You shouldn't have any issues. It's like 90 degrees today. And I don't see any moisture in this paint job at all. And you can tell if there's moisture in the clear. I hope you enjoyed this video. You found it helpful. If you did, let me know down in the comments below. And if you want to help support the channel, your absolute best way to do that is to like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of Garage Noise. But yeah, if we check out the blend, we got the sunlight on here. I know it's hard to tell on the camera, but if you're here in person, there you cannot even identify where that blends at all. I don't think we're going to have any issue with the color match. Yeah, it just looks fantastic.
If you want to learn more about paint and body repair, check out this video now.